I'm going to go through a couple of the most missed questions from the coach section of last week. One question, I believe it was number 6, but I cut it off here, is it was asking you to write an equation to represent the situation and then solve for the equation. And notice our balancing point is located right here. So, let me get my pen. Okay, on the left-hand side, if we notice over here, we have 4 x's, but they're not just x's, they are negative x's. So this actually is a negative 4x. Okay, and let me erase this equal sign, it's going to be in the way here. Okay, and in addition to the negative 4x, we also have 6 negative 1s. So we're going to represent that with minus 6, and that is balanced to or equal to. And on the right-hand side, if we look at what we have 14 1s, and notice they're green, they're all positive, so that equals a positive 14. To solve our equation, we know this is our balancing point. The first thing we need to do is get rid of our negative 6, or subtraction of 6. So we're going to get rid of that by doing the inverse operation, which means that we are going to be adding 6 to both sides, which is going to result in a negative 4x is equal to 20. The next thing that we need to do then is we need to get rid of that negative 4, and that is the multiplication by a negative 4. So the inverse operation of multiplying by a negative 4 would be to divide by a negative 4. So we're going to divide both sides by a negative 4, which then gives us an answer of x is equal to a negative 5, because remember that a positive and a negative when dividing is going to give us a negative answer. The next question that many of you missed was number 10. It says use factoring to solve the equation negative 2x minus 14 equals 8. Remember, factoring means that we are dividing something out of the pieces, and we only need to really focus on just one side of the equation. So on the left side, we have our negative 2x minus 14, and we're looking for a common factor that can be divided out of both of these. Both of them are even numbers, which means we can divide out 2, but we actually can also divide out a negative 2. So we're going to have a negative 2 that's being divided out, and in parentheses we need to represent what we're left with. A negative 2x divided by a negative 2. We know a negative divided by a negative is a positive 1, or a positive, so this is going to be a positive 1x, or just x. And a negative 14 divided by a negative 2 gives us a positive 7. And that's still going to be equal to 8 because we weren't factoring out of the 8. Our next step to solve this is we actually can divide both sides by negative 2, which is going to leave us then with x plus 7 equals negative 4. Remember, positive divided by a negative is a negative value. And our last step to finish up would be to subtract 7 from both sides, giving us a final answer of x is equal to a negative 11. The next question